good, fam? This is gonna be sort of like a short lecture, but we just gonna be talking about spirituality, right? And how spirituality is just a way of like living, a way of like improving, a way of like building yourself up. So I know that since nowadays there's a rise of like a lot of spiritual stuff, and so there's a lot of individuals that's like contorting and also like overly doing it just to get like a few bucks, a few funds and whatnot. But the whole spiritual thing, right? Or even just religion, right? Because we know what religion likes to do. They like to like take stuff for their own self. So like can't really like do anything about that. But they try to take spirituality and put it into like their own set of like ways of moving about or ways of like giving that information out. But for the most part, right, spirituality is just a way of like being, right? It's a way to like improve your spirits. Cause like how reincarnation or incarnation, right? Throughout your life, you get a set of like information that you build up yourself that identifies yourself. And so you carry that on to the next. Spirituality has the word spirit in it and ritual. And we're not thinking of a ritual in a way where like they're doing like blood sacrifices, right? Or sacrificing people or animals. No, nothing like that, right? Because that's a bit excessive, right? But we talking about in a way where like it's daily practices in your day-to-day life where you're building up your spirit, right? You are setting yourself into like a divine type of way, right? You make sure your space is clean, right? You're making sure your head is clean. You're making sure your environment is clean. You're making sure basically that all the things that was fed to you, all the perverted stuff, all the like low vibrational, all the malicious stuff that was fed to your mind and brain, right? You're reprogramming that and putting it into a way where like you're taking all that and transmuting it, right? And so like literally nothing can like affect your mind because you're transmuting that energy into a different type of like mindset, right? Because your mindset is very powerful, right? Mindset is strong. With a mindset, you can do a lot of things. Your mindset makes the impossible possible. And so applying these spiritual practices to your day-to-day life, right? You'll notice a lot of things. You'll be like, why am I in this system for, right? I know that I can just go out and like get a bunch of these stuff to like heal my space, heal my environment up. And I know the reasons what's causing this type of like dysfunction all around, right? And so like you're intaking all that through your spiritual practices and you're seeing the things that is wrong. You're noticing it and a pattern recognition, you can say, right? You're seeing all of that through your spiritual practices, through cleaning your space, cleaning up your mind. And you're taking all that and applying it, right? I like to say this to like a few individuals. Like I'll say to people like who need like support and help, I'll say to them that you have to your past, right? Your past is the lessons that you learned or that you went through, right? The future is your growth or your degrowth, right? And the present moment is the action, right? So if you're not able to learn from those past lessons that you learned through the present moment, which is the action, right? Your future could be either growth, right, an elevated state, or a de-elevated state. You gotta make sure that all of those past, present, and future, you're combining into one singular like motion. And so you're taking lessons, action, and growth all into one. And all of that helps you and develop more of like who you set out to be or who you are to become, right? Who you are to like feel that you are, right? Know that you are, see that you are, speak that you are. All of these that identify, which goes back to the root, right? I am that I am. You're figuring out who you are and you're building that up to I know that I am. But with that being said, let's move on to the lesson at hand, right? And the word or the words we're going to be learning about is entropy and syntropy, right? Basically, entropy from a basic, physical understanding, right? It is a physical driven law that incorporates, how can I say it, disorder, randomness, and also energy depletion within a chaotic setting, right? And so there's no like structure, right, to it. But the opposite of that would be syntropy, which brings order or builds order self-organizing systems and all that through the chaos. Let me give you like a physical point of view of the word entropy, right? So in history, right? We know that in history they like to like control a lot of stuff and also hide a lot of true information. So it's like mixing lies with truth and also hiding truth from individuals so they won't know a bunch of information to put like two and two together. And that's what like entropy is. It's that disorder, that unorganization, and also that energy depletion, which takes your energy out, takes energy away from you. And so you're searching and searching, but like you're not finding a straight answer. You're not finding like a real answer. So you're just going all over the place. So that's basically like from a physical point of view what entropy is. Entropy, right, is just the opposite of that. You're trying to build everything together. You're not. There's no type of disorganization or chaos. There's nothing being like hidden, right? Everyone has a share of information. Everyone can learn something. Everyone can grow, right? Nothing has to be hidden because like everyone has that curiosity to themselves. So if they want to learn more about know the information that's out there, right, they can just get it. But from a spiritual point of view, right, entropy has to deal with like the mind, right? Or you could say the ego. When things is left unchecked within your own mind, when there's disorder, when there's chaos within your your headspace, there is it leads to more of a fallen system within your own self. So like you're collapsing within your own self. And that's not to say that's your fault, right? It has to mainly do with like external factors outside which affects you on the inside. But you're supposed to be making the inside of yourself reflect on that outside. So like you feel this disorganization, right, or this chaoticness within this entropy within your mind because you're being stagnant, right? You're not. You have to have like an active flow or a spiritual practice. You know how I was saying in the beginning that spirituality deals with like spiritual practice every day where you clean your space and you clean your mind up, you clean your environment up, and this applies just to that, right? You're you're fixing up that ego within yourself, and the ego, ego sometimes leads to selfishness, right? Anxiety. It leads to like just built up anger within you, resentment, and you need to clean that space up within your mind, right? If you like hold on to that, right, it builds up over time. If you don't face the things that troubles you, like the traumas and stuff, it builds up over time, and then in like a random moment, you can just like explode or like go overboard with it, and like you don't want that to happen, right? Because people or individuals gonna look at you like, especially in this new like type of setting, right? A lot of people is working on themselves, and so you got to be working on your mind as well too. And I'm gonna make a part two explaining syntrophy because we running out a little bit of time, right? But entropy, right, deals with like mostly your ego, and with that ego and able to put that ego away, be on top of the ego, right? Make sure that you're in control of the way like you move, the way you think, so you could build up that energy, right? It requires continuous work, right? It requires continuous energy, like mindfulness. You're practicing mindfulness of what you do or what you say. You're practicing your meditations, right? When you need that isolation, you go into isolation and quiet your mind, right? Just just think, right? Let everything flow within your head and ask questions, right? You be like, what do I need to do, right? Remember in the Bible, right? Yeah, it says truth in there as well too, but it says seek, right? And you will find, right? Ask and you will receive. And so that applies to like within your own self, within that church within yourself, that you're asking yourself these questions because you are everything and everything is you. So you being in this physical state right here, you also have a higher state. And you're getting that information from those higher realms, and you're bringing that back down into this physical, which is very chaotic, right? People to part two, and we're gonna pick up for where we left off because there's not enough time to like mention all this.